Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of truth and wanderers of the inner world, I invite you to pause for a moment and reflect upon a question that has haunted humanity for centuries. Who are you really? At first glance, the answer seems simple. You might say, I am a student, I am a parent, I am a teacher, or I am an artist. Some may answer with nationality, religion, profession, or social role. But I ask again, who are you really? Because each of these labels, though powerful, is only a surface layer, an identity crafted by society, memory, and conditioning. They are like costumes worn on the stage of life. Yet behind every costume, behind every mask, there is an actor who is untouched by the roles they play. Our identities are illusions in the sense that they are not permanent. As children, we cling to the identity of innocence and curiosity. As we grow, we are told who we are, by our families, by culture, by history, by expectation. We wear these definitions like clothing, and we begin to mistake the clothing for the body beneath it. But when one outfit is stripped away, when a career ends, when a relationship breaks, when a title no longer fits, do you stop existing? Or is there something deeper, something unshakable, that remains? Think of it this way: the river is not defined by the stones on its banks, nor the leaves that float upon it. It is pure flow, ceaseless movement, an expression of life itself. And so too are we. But when we cling to rigid labels, race, gender, success, failure, wealth, poverty, we forget that our essence is not bound to these passing forms. They are part of the play, yes, but they are not the playwright. The illusion of identity can be both comforting and limiting. Comforting because it gives us a sense of belonging, a place in the vast human story. But limiting because it chains us to narrow definitions. We say, I am shy, and so we never step onto the stage of courage. We say, I am unworthy, and so we close the doors to love. We say, I am only this, forgetting that within us lies infinity itself. Great spiritual teachers, philosophers, and mystics across ages have whispered the same truth. You are not merely your body, not your mind, not even your story. You are the awareness in which all of these rise and fall. When anger comes, it comes and goes. When joy arises, it dances and fades. But the witness, the silent presence behind the emotions, remains. That presence is the real you. So who are you really? You are not your achievements, though they shine. You are not your failures, though they teach. You are not even your name, though it carries history. You are the stillness behind thought, the spaciousness in which life unfolds, the eternal consciousness peering through your eyes at this very moment. To awaken to this truth is liberation. To recognize that your true identity cannot be threatened, cannot be diminished, cannot be destroyed, that is the beginning of freedom. Imagine what life would be if you stopped defending a fragile mask and instead embraced the boundless self within. Fear would dissolve. Comparison would lose its grip. And love, unconditional love, would flow effortlessly. So I ask you once more with renewed depth, who are you really? The answer cannot be spoken in a single word or written on a resume. It can only be felt here, now, in the silence between thoughts. Step into that silence. Look beyond the mask. And discover the truth that has been waiting patiently all along. You are not the illusion of identity, you are life itself, infinite and free. Here are 7 keynotes for the speech, Who Are You Really? The illusion of identity. Identity as a social mask, roles, labels, and titles we adopt are not the essence of who we are. The conditioning of the mind, how culture, family, and society shape the illusion of self. The temporary nature of labels, careers, relationships, and statuses change, but the deeper self remains. The witness within, discovering the awareness that observes thoughts, emotions, and experiences. The trap of limiting beliefs, how self-definitions restrict growth and freedom. Liberation through self-realization, transcending the illusion to touch the boundless self. Living beyond the mask, embracing authenticity, freedom, and infinite potential. When we speak about identity, most people immediately think of the roles they play in their everyday lives. We say, I am a teacher, I am a mother, I am a doctor, or I am a student. These descriptions provide a sense of place, of belonging, and of purpose. They tell others where we fit into the grand puzzle of society. Yet, at a deeper level, these identities are nothing more than masks, social masks that we wear in different circumstances. They are useful, yes, even necessary, but they are not the truth of who we are. They are like costumes on the stage of life, designed to communicate something to the outside world, but they do not reveal the actor behind the performance. From the earliest days of childhood, these masks begin to form. A child learns to smile when praised, cry when ignored, and perform in ways that bring approval from parents and teachers. Over time, Those behaviors evolve into more defined identities: the responsible one, the funny one, the quiet one. These labels become a part of how we present ourselves to others. They are reinforced at every turn, whether through school achievements, social interactions, or professional titles. The danger lies not in playing these roles, but in mistaking them for our essence. We forget that they are just masks, flexible and removable, not the skin of the soul. Think about how fluid our so-called identities are. In one setting, you may be the obedient child. In another, the commanding leader. At work, you are the diligent professional. With friends, you might be the comedian always ready with a joke. The roles shift depending on who you are with and what is expected of you. This proves that identity is not fixed. It is a collection of masks we put on and take off depending on the stage we find ourselves on. If it were truly who we are, it would not change so easily. And yet, because we are so deeply invested in these masks, we often feel threatened when they are challenged. If someone questions your intelligence and you are attached to the identity of being the smart one, you feel attacked at the very core. If you have built your entire self-image around being successful, the moment you face failure, your whole world collapses. This happens because you are holding onto a mask as if it were your actual face. The truth is, roles can be taken away, titles can vanish, reputations can crumble, but the essence of who you are remains untouched. The illusion of identity is further complicated by society's constant demand for definition. We are asked from a young age, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" As if being were synonymous with a career or a role. This constant pressure to define ourselves according to external measures reinforces the idea that identity is something we achieve, something we earn, something that depends on status or approval. But identity in its truest form cannot be given by society, nor can it be taken away. Recognizing identity as a social mask is not meant to strip away meaning from our lives. It is not to suggest that roles, responsibilities, and achievements have no value. Rather, it is to remind us that these masks are tools, not truths. They help us navigate the world, but they do not define the infinite being behind them. Imagine how much freedom comes with this realization. When you understand that you are not limited to any one label, you can move fluidly through life without fear of losing yourself when circumstances change. You are no longer trapped in defending an identity that was never truly yours to begin with. To see identity as a mask is to step closer to authenticity. It allows you to wear roles lightly, to play them well, but never forget the actor beneath. You are not the mask of success or failure, not the mask of strength or weakness, not even the mask of name or title. You are the consciousness that wears them all, the awareness that remains when the mask is set down. And that recognition, that you are more than the roles you play, becomes the first step in answering the timeless question: who are you really? The sense of who we are does not arise in a vacuum. From the very first breath we take, the world around us begins shaping the image we will come to call me. Before we can even speak, we are given a name. That name becomes the first marker of identity, a symbol we respond to, a sound that tells us we exist in relation to others. As we grow, layers are added. Our family tells us what kind of child we are, society tells us what kind of person we should be, and culture tells us what values we must carry. Slowly but surely, this conditioning of the mind builds an image that we begin to cling to, believing it to be our authentic self. Yet, in truth, it is nothing more than a collage of other people's expectations, rules, and perceptions. This conditioning often begins with simple labels. A child who excels in school may be praised as smart, while another who struggles may be called lazy or difficult. Though seemingly harmless, these labels dig deep into the subconscious, planting seeds that later grow into strong self-concepts. A child praised for being smart may fear failure, believing their worth is tied only to achievement. A child called lazy may internalize the idea that they are incapable, carrying that belief well into adulthood. In this way, what others say about us starts to shape what we believe about ourselves, creating an illusionary identity rooted not in truth, but in external judgment. Culture, too, plays a powerful role in conditioning the mind. Each culture offers a blueprint for what a good person looks like. In some places, obedience and conformity are valued. In others, independence and ambition are praised. Without realizing it, we begin to shape ourselves to fit into these molds, trimming away parts of who we are that do not align with the cultural ideal. We adopt the language, beliefs, and behaviors expected of us, mistaking this adaptation for genuine identity. Yet what we call me is often just a reflection of what culture has deemed acceptable, not the raw and infinite potential that lies within. Society at large reinforces these illusions through endless comparison. From a young age, we are measured, graded, ranked, and categorized. Success is defined by status, wealth, beauty, or popularity, and so when we ask, who are you really? We must recognize that none of the roles we cling to can be the final answer. They are temporary truths, useful but fleeting. The real you is the one who wears the roles without being consumed by them, the one who exists before labels are given and after they fade. That recognition is the doorway to freedom, because once you see the impermanence of identity, you begin to touch the timeless presence behind it. Deep within every human being lies something that is often overlooked, ignored, or hidden beneath layers of thought, emotion, and external identity. This is the witness, the silent awareness that observes everything we experience without ever being changed by it. Most of us spend our lives believing that we are our thoughts, our feelings, or the roles we play, but if we look closer, we find that there is something within us that remains constant through it all. That something is the witness within, the true observer behind the illusion of identity. Consider the mind for a moment. Thoughts rise and fall like waves on the surface of the ocean. One moment you think, I am happy, and the next, I am sad. A few minutes later, a thought may appear about your plans for tomorrow or a memory from 10 years ago. These thoughts are countless, shifting every second. If you were truly your thoughts, you would be in constant chaos, changing identities every time a new thought entered your mind. But if you pause and watch carefully, you realize that there is something in you that notices these thoughts. You are not the thought itself. You are the awareness that sees the thought come and go. The same is true of emotions. Anger burns hot for a few minutes, then fades. Joy lights you up, then settles into calm. Fear rises suddenly, then slowly dissolves. Emotions are powerful, but they are temporary. Yet throughout all these changes, there is still something that witnesses them. You can say, I felt angry, or I experienced joy, because there is a part of you that was present to notice the feeling. That witness is unshaken by the rise and fall of emotions, just as the sky is untouched by the storms that pass through it. Even the body itself, which many people believe to be the truest form of identity, is in constant flux. Cells die and regenerate, appearance changes with age, and strength waxes and wanes. From childhood to adulthood to old age, the body takes on completely different forms, yet the sense of I remains. If the body were your truest identity, then each change in form would erase who you are. But that does not happen. Something deeper persists, the awareness that has watched the body grow and change over the years without itself being altered. This witness within is easy to miss because it is so subtle. It does not speak, it does not judge, it does not take sides. It simply observes. Most of us are so absorbed in the activity of the mind and emotions that we never notice the silent background in which it all takes place. But when you sit quietly and turn your attention inward, you begin to sense it. You realize that you are not the storm of thoughts, but the stillness watching them. You are not the rise and fall of emotions, but the spaciousness in which they occur. You are not the changing body, but the timeless presence that has been there since the beginning. Recognizing this witness is profoundly liberating. It means you no longer have to be enslaved by every thought or emotion. You can feel anger without becoming anger itself. You can think a fearful thought without being consumed by fear. You can experience sadness without being defined as a sad person. This distance between the self and the experience allows for clarity, peace, and freedom. It is like discovering that you are the sky, vast and open, while everything else, thoughts, feelings, roles, are just passing clouds. This awareness has been spoken of by mystics, philosophers, and spiritual teachers across time. Some call it the soul, others consciousness, and some simply presence. Words may differ, but the truth remains the same. There is a witnessing self within you that is more real than the illusionary identities you cling to. It has no label, no form, and no beginning or end. It is the core of who you are. When you live from this awareness, life changes. You no longer feel the need to defend every label, role, or belief because you know they are not your true self. You stop being imprisoned by external definitions and start living from the freedom of inner truth. And in that freedom, you find peace, the kind of peace that cannot be shaken by circumstance, because it is rooted in the eternal witness within. One of the most subtle yet powerful traps in life is the way we define ourselves through limiting beliefs. These beliefs are like invisible chains, forged by our past experiences, social conditioning, and self-judgments. They are not truths, but we hold on to them so tightly that they shape the way we think, act, and even dream. Whenever we say, I am not good enough, or I could never do that, we are not speaking from our deepest self, but from the prison built by these beliefs. They become the bars that keep us from stepping into our real potential, the walls that confine the vastness of who we truly are. These limiting beliefs often begin in childhood, when the mind is impressionable and eager to absorb everything it hears. A child who is constantly told they are clumsy might grow up believing they will never be graceful or skilled at sports. A child criticized for being too quiet may adopt the belief that they are socially awkward, carrying that sense of inadequacy into adulthood. Over time, these repeated messages harden into identity statements: I am shy, I am weak, I am unworthy. Even if the circumstances that created them are long gone, the belief remains like an echo, shaping choices and behaviors for years to come. Society reinforces these beliefs by drawing lines of comparison. We are constantly measured against others, through grades, appearance, achievements, or wealth. If someone does not meet the standards set by society, they may internalize the belief that they are a failure or unimportant. These judgments become part of the internal dialogue, whispered in moments of doubt and shouted in moments of struggle. Yet these judgments are never the truth of who we are. They are reflections of expectations, not reflections of essence. The danger of limiting beliefs is that they shrink possibility. When someone believes they are not creative, they never attempt to paint, write, or explore. When someone believes they are not intelligent, they avoid challenges that might prove otherwise. These beliefs act like invisible fences. You could walk beyond them, but you never try because you have convinced yourself the barrier is real. And so, entire lives are shaped not by reality, but by the illusion of what we think we cannot do. But the truth is, these beliefs are not permanent. They are stories, and stories can be rewritten. They only hold power when we mistake them for unchangeable identity. The moment we step back and see them as thoughts, nothing more, they begin to lose their grip. A person who once believed they were shy can, through awareness and courage, discover that shyness was just a role they played, not their true essence. A person who thought they were unworthy can realize that worth is not something earned through perfection but something intrinsic to being alive. Breaking free from limiting beliefs requires awareness. You must first notice the voice within that tells you, you can't, you shouldn't, or you're not enough. Instead of blindly accepting it, you pause and ask, whose voice is this? Where did it come from? Is it true? More often than not, you discover it came from the past, from parents, teachers, peers, or society, and that it no longer serves you. By questioning the belief, you loosen the chains it places around you. Another way to dissolve limiting beliefs is through direct experience. If you believe you are not creative, try painting, writing, or inventing, even if imperfectly. The very act of doing challenges the false identity. If you believe you are not strong, step into situations that require strength, and watch as your capacity grows. Every time you move beyond the belief, you prove to yourself that it was never the truth. With each small act of courage, the walls of illusion crumble, revealing the vastness of your real potential. The greatest tragedy of limiting beliefs is not just the opportunities they make us miss, but the way they distort our vision of who we really are. We forget that identity is fluid, expansive, and infinite. No single belief can capture the fullness of our being. By clinging to the smallness of limiting labels, we hide from the greatness within. But when we release these beliefs, we open ourselves to life in its fullness, to growth without end, to freedom without fear. And so, the question remains, are you the story you tell yourself, or the awareness that sees the story? If you are the story, then you will remain trapped within its narrow frame. But if you are the awareness, then you are already free, because awareness cannot be limited by any belief. In this realization, the trap of limiting beliefs dissolves, and what remains is the infinite possibility of your true self, waiting to be lived fully and fearlessly. Liberation is not found in the endless pursuit of more labels, more success, or more recognition. True liberation arises when we awaken to the realization that who we are cannot be contained within any definition. Self-realization is the process of seeing beyond the illusions we have inherited and built, beyond the layers of identity that society, family, and ego have placed upon us. It is like peeling away mask after mask until nothing remains but the pure, infinite presence that has been there all along. This recognition does not change who you are, it reveals who you have always been beneath the illusions. When we transcend the illusion of identity, a profound sense of freedom begins to unfold. The roles we play in life, parent, student, leader, worker, are no longer cages but simply costumes we wear for a time. We can embrace them fully, yet never mistake them for our true essence. This freedom allows us to move fluidly from one phase of life to another without clinging to what is past or fearing what is to come. For example, when a career ends, instead of mourning the loss of identity, one can step into the next chapter with openness, knowing the role was temporary but the self is eternal. When a relationship shifts, the love remains, but the identity tied to it is no longer a burden, because we understand it was never the totality of who we are. Self-realization also dissolves fear. Most of the fear we carry is rooted in the idea that our identity is fragile and can be threatened.